Hi, my name's Nash Johnson, and this is my capstone presentation for my first project car. I hope you enjoy. This is a personal project for me. Growing up, I was always obsessed with cars. My favorite car when I was really young was a Chrysler PT Cruiser. But don't worry, car people, I've since learned the error of my ways. When I was old enough to start working on cars myself, I'd spend hours with my dad in the garage, whether I wanted to or not, fixing brakes, changing oil, and replacing brake lines. You name it, we probably fixed it. All those hours spent in the garage with my dad were incredibly meaningful to me. They taught me how to disassemble and fix and replace parts on a car that most people my age didn't know. My dad always wanted to get a project car that we could work on together, but we could never afford it. When I say project car, what do I mean by that? Well, there are many categories of project cars, such as restorations, resto-mods, which are restorations with performance modifications added, and aesthetic modification, tuning, and hot rodding. In the simplest terms, a project car is a car with which the owner does any modification apart from general maintenance. And you can see that this car is most likely considered a finished project car. But those who have project cars know that a project car is never really finished. And they're not all pretty. Sometimes project cars like this one start off a little bit rougher. This one is likely a restoration and it's had very little done to it. Maybe just enough to get it running and get it back to this person's driveway. And then this vehicle is somebody stumbling on a hidden gem, something that they find in a barn that they want to fix, but it's going to require a lot of work to get there. So now I want to go over the demographics of the people that own project cars. From my own research, I found that 57% of project car owners got their cars between the ages of 12 and 24. So they start early, and this is likely because their cars are handed down to them from previous generations, such as parents and grandparents. I also found that a lot of project car owners have children. And from those project car owners that have children, the majority of them say that they would want their children to be involved in the project. I also found that the average amount invested in a project car is around $28,000, and that can be a big barrier for people with lower incomes who want to work on a project car. Now I want to ask the viewers a question. Can you change a tire? Studies show that only 50% of people over the age of 36 can confidently change a tire. For people between the ages of 18 and 23, that number drops to about 27%. As a result, 63% of millennials have never attempted to fix or modify their cars. There's also the issue of safety. So what's the risk when working on a project car, or a car of any kind for that matter? Well, it's no secret that working on cars can be very dangerous for both children and adults. For example, 4,800 people receive emergency medical treatment each year from falling jack stands, and this can be either improper placement of those jack stands or from a failing piece of equipment. Burns and ingestion of hazardous fluids from vehicles is also likely, and that likelihood is especially high with children. So given the information of the risks involved in working on a car, why would I tell you to do it yourself? Why should you? Maintaining a vehicle can be very expensive. Hourly labor costs for mechanics in the US is $79 an hour, and this includes the time it takes them to look for the part and to put the part on your car. Whereas finding the parts and conducting the maintenance yourself costs no more than the price of the part. Also, putting off maintenance can cause extra wear and tear to your vehicle that could result in serious issues later on. So now that you have my reasoning for why I think this project is important, I want to give you some of my project goals. My first project goal is to provide an opportunity for healthy parent-child interaction through projects. I want to create a fun, affordable, and easy to understand introduction to working on cars. I want to develop valuable life skills in children that will serve them in adulthood, and I want to address the issue of child safety when working on real cars. Now that you know the reasons for why I'm doing this project and the goals that I have for it, I want to introduce you to my user personas. This is Brian, and he's the father in this situation. He's 32 years old, he lives in Miami, Florida, and he has a wife and a 4-year-old son. His goals are to achieve a 9-second quarter mile, tune his R34 Skyline GTR to 1,000 wheel horsepower, and introduce his son to car modification. His hobbies include working on project cars, racing, spending time with family, and teaching his son about cars. Now you can see that his mechanical, technical, and problem-solving skills are all pretty high, but his creativity is relatively low. Now I want to introduce you to Tanner. Tanner is Brian's 4-year-old son. Like many 4-year-olds, his goals are to color every page in his Marvel coloring book, collect 100 Hot Wheels cars, and make lots of friends in his pre-K class. His hobbies include coloring, playing with Hot Wheels cars, building Lego sets, and playing in the garage while his dad works on cars. As you can see, his skills are essentially the inverse of his father's. He's got very low mechanical, technical, and problem-solving skills, but because he is a child, his creativity is through the roof. So now I want to give you a look into the vision for this project. I want to introduce this in 3 aspects. I want to introduce the glitz and glamour of a finished project car, the grime and hard work and mechanical skill involved with working on your own vehicle, and the aspect of the parent-child relationship, collaboration, and learning involved in this project. Now I want to go through my ideation. My original idea for this was to take a car that you might see on the road, scale it down, and make a kid-sized version of that car that would be essentially identical to what you would see on the road. But then I realized that these companies might have some issues with licensing those vehicles. So I figured it would be a good idea to start with something that was inspired by those vehicles, but not identical to them. So you can see that we have vehicles in here that have inspiration from Japanese sports cars, American muscle cars, and German vehicles, as well as American hot rods. And after some more thought, I chose these 4 vehicles. The top left vehicle is inspired by old Japanese cars. The top right is inspired by American hot rods, and the bottom 2 are inspired by modern American muscle. Now here we have some soldier sketches that go through the process of visualizing the side profiles of the vehicles so that we can see what the finished project might look like. I want to introduce this project as a phase 1. For this phase, I've chosen the Japanese sports car inspired vehicle as the focal point for this project. All of the body styles that will be available will be able to bolt onto this universal chassis. You can see that it contains components for the wheels and the steering mechanism, but this is the bare bones of the project car. Now you can see what it might look like with the body attached to the chassis. The body contains all of the mounting points for the headlights and taillights, as well as the gear shift and mounting points for the seat. Here we have an exploded view of the chassis so that you can see how some of the parts relate to each other. The wheels, for example, are in 3 parts. We have a back piece, the tire, and the front piece. And these are clamped together and mounted to the wheel mounting hub that spins freely on the axle. Here we have a render of some of the upgradable components. The steering wheel, for example, is mounted to a locking hub that allows the user to quickly remove the steering wheel and replace it with another one if they so desire. The headlights and taillights are a snap-fit design and easily plug and play. In the wheels, I wanted to make as closely related to real vehicles as possible. They have a 4-lug pattern, and the lugs go through from the back to the front to hold the entire tire assembly together. Here we have some of the stock options for the colors of the wheels. But in reality, these can be any color that the user desires. They're plastic, so they're easily paintable, or they can buy them in different colors from the factory. And here we have some different options for the tint on the headlights and taillights. We have a yellow, a clear, and a gray tint for the headlights, and a gray, a red, and a clear tint for the taillights. So what will be in Phase 2 of this project? Phase 2 will include many more upgrades, such as other body styles, more wheel styles, body kits, sticker packs, color changing lights, and many more upgrades. Phase 2 will also include the rollout of an educational website where children can log their upgrades to see how it affects the performance of their car, watch educational videos about car maintenance and modification, and play mini games such as racing against other kids' vehicles and engine building that will reinforce the things that they learn as they work on their car. So let's go through my project goals one more time. I believe I provided an opportunity for healthy parent-child interaction through projects by giving both the parent and a child a project that they can both invest in. I created a fun, affordable, and easy to understand introduction to working on cars by making a product that would be no more expensive than other ride-on toys available on the market. I gave children the opportunity to develop valuable life skills that will serve them in adulthood by allowing them to learn about cars and learn about how to work on them and modify them. And I addressed the issue of child safety when working on real cars by providing a product that is lightweight and easy to work on, requiring no special tools. Thank you for viewing my capstone. I hope you enjoyed seeing my vision for this project as much as I enjoyed creating it.